Hey everyone, TJ Hernandez here with RosterCoach.com, and this is the Week 8 GPP Value Report, where each week I go through the featured tournaments on the main slate for both FanDuel and DraftKings and discuss the payout structures of these games, looking at things like how much the field is being paid, how much money is going to first, how much each game is raking. And you should be using this information, not necessarily the best games to enter, but looking at it in terms of your overall game plan or your goals. So those that are looking to maximize upside and maybe not necessarily playing DFS for a living or something like that might just be looking for games that have a larger chunk of money going to first place, while players that are looking to minimize variance or maybe grind out more of a steady profit might be looking to these games that are paying out a higher percentage of the field, obviously raking less or paying less money to first place. And starting here on FanDuel with the games up to the $10 buy-in level, we have seen a bit of a shift this week, at least in terms of the prize pool. So prize pools have gotten a little bit smaller. Not many first place prizes have changed. So what that means is overall, we're seeing a larger percentage of money going to first place, so we want to be paying even more attention to the structure of these games. We have, obviously, the featured game that everybody's looking at every week, the Sunday Million. That is now down to a $1.5 million prize pool with $400,000 going to first, so over a quarter of the money is going to first place in that game. There are a couple other options if you're looking for that bigger payout. The $125,000 snap at the $4 level has a $20,000 prize to first place, and the $200,000 rush at the $5 level has a $40,000 prize to first place. Both of those games are paying out about 20%, but the rush has 20% of the money going to first, where the snap has 16%. So a little bit flatter payout structure there in the snap. The game that I've been highlighting every week for people that are playing these lower stakes games is the Huddle. That game is at $85,000 prize pool this week. 27% of the field is being paid, and of course that 10% rake is what we're looking at. A couple other games to highlight: the Pancake Block at the 25-cent level and the Snap at the $2 level. Both of those games are paying out over a quarter of the field, so not a ton of upside in terms of first place prize, and the fields are relatively large, but a really big chunk of the field being paid out there, so that helps anyone that is playing these multi-entry games but wants to kind of minimize their variance. Moving on to the games priced above $10, we have a few games this week offering $100,000 to first place. We have the $444,000 bomb at the $33 level and the $500,000 blitz at the $100,000 level, as well as the $450,000 monster at the $333 level. All of those games paying out roughly 20% of the field, but if you can move up to the blitz or the monster, you're getting a pretty big drop in rake. On the blitz, you're getting a 12% rake. The monster at the $333 level, just 10% rake. So always something you want to pay attention to when you're trying to select your games there. The only other game that really has a relatively big first place prize at these stakes is the $150,000 kickoff. $30,000 going to first place in that game, but only 18% of the field being paid. That's the smallest we see of any of these featured contests, so definitely take note of that. If you're looking for games with flatter payout structures at these higher stakes, pretty rare to find a really flat payout, but we do have the spin move at the $35 level paying out 25% of the field, and then the touchdown at the $65 level, just 437 people in that field. 23% of the field is being paid, and just 12% of the money is going to first. So again, for these higher stake, that's a relatively flat payout structure, just $3,000 up top in that one. But if you are someone that's looking to minimize your variance and add just a little bit of upside to your portfolio, that's a pretty decent game to consider with just a 5-entry max. So one of those games where it's multi-entry, but you're not going to be at a huge disadvantage if you have a little bit smaller of a bankroll. Moving on to DraftKings. DraftKings is rolling out their Fall Festival games this week. So looking at these games up to the $9 buy-in level, we see at the $5 level the $100,000 Fall Festival 3 max. That game is a $100,000 prize pool with $10,000 going to first. So of these lower stakes games, it is a pretty big chunk of money going to first place. The only one of just 3 games giving at least 10% of the money to first place, but 27% of the field is being paid. So for a larger contest, not too bad of a structure, but of course, like we've seen in the past, we do have that 16% rake. A couple other games at these smaller stakes with a big first place prize. We have the $1.4 million play action with $100,000 going to first, and the $350,000 post pattern at the $8 level with $30,000 going to first. Now that play action, like it always is, it's just $3 buy-in, so we have a huge field, over 500,000 people in that game. But all of these games kind of in this $1 to $5 level with a decent first place prize. We see about 27% of the field being paid. So all of these games are structured pretty close together. So there's not much point in playing these smaller 25-cent or $1 games with a steeper payout structure, because you're really just forfeiting upside. Now the post pattern is just paying out 25% of the field, but again, if you're looking for upside with a little bit of a smaller field and you're at these buy-in levels, you're kind of at the mercy of the website, because there aren't that many games with big first place prizes to speak of unless you are moving up to these higher stakes. And at these games priced above $10, really close to that post pattern that I was just discussing, is this fair catch, $15,000 to first place at the $12 buy-in level. So it's actually pretty similar structure to that post pattern, just a smaller field, and the buy-in is $4 more. So it is just a single entry tournament. But again, if you're just kind of looking for a couple spots to maximize upside and you don't have a huge bankroll, maybe considering playing that $8 and the $12 together. Of course, we have the Millionaire. That prize pulls down to $3.6 million. So now 28% of the money going to first place. So as we get deeper into the season and that pool gets smaller, the structure is only going to get more steep. So if you are playing that game, it's really just because you're trying to maximize that upside and really foregoing a lot of steady payout structures at these other buy-in levels, especially if you're playing these higher stakes. We have the Power Sweep that offers a $75,000 first place prize, the Wildcat $150,000, and the Grand Festival, part of that fall series that I was just talking about, also offering $150,000 to first. As is pretty much always the case, if you're looking for a game that's paying out at least 25% of the field, you're not going to see much upside. The Hail Mary, just $2,000 to first place. The Chop Block, just $1,000. But if you are at these higher stakes contests, the Stiff Arm at the $555 level is a single entry contest with only 200 opponents and 27% of the field being paid out. So a pretty good single entry structure there with a small field and a chance to win $15,000. Just a 10% rake. And I know there aren't a ton of people playing at these stakes, but if you are, it's a contest I strongly recommend, especially if you're trying to grind out a long-term profit. That's a game that I really like a lot. But those are the contests that stand out to me this week. Just go through it and check out the games that you're considering and balance all of these factors to fit to your specific game plan. And of course, if you have any questions, hit me up here or on Twitter. Again, this is TJ Hernandez with RosterCoach.com. Thank you for watching.